So we know you're not allowed to eat basar b'chalav. You can't eat milk and meat together. Now the real issue of eating milk and meat together we'll get to. The real issue is to cook it together. To cook it and meat it cooked together. There's no issue in the Torah to actually eat milk and meat together. There's no issue. You can have a sandwich of cheese and meat, and there's no problem. The only issue is if they're cooked together. That's the only issue. So that would be according to the Torah level. But midrabanan, rabbinically they assered in any form having milk and meat together for obviously various reasons. You might cook it together. It might be hot and touch and be considered cooked together. So on the rabbinical level, a person cannot eat milchiks and fleishiks together. Period. But with the Midaraisa, it's important to remember, Midaraisa, the whole Isser is solely, the Isser is solely when it's cooked together to eat it. Okay?
So cold.
It says three times in the Torah, like Savashal Gedi B'Chalev Yimai, one shouldn't cook a Gedi, a goat, whatever.
But no, you can't get.
Oh, so it says three times in the Torah.
Cheeseburger.
Right. So it says, so 1 second. So it says three times in the Torah you can't cook it together. One time B'Darshan, you're not allowed to cook it. It's the issue to actually do the bishul, which we'll discuss. One time it says the issue is you're not allowed to eat it. It doesn't say anywhere in the Torah you're not allowed to eat milk and meat. It says you're not allowed to cook. But it says it three times. So one time is to tell us you're not allowed to be cooked together. And one time is to tell us that you're not allowed to have any benefit from it, period. So that will also be discussed at some point, benefiting from basar b'chalav. And the person's not allowed to do that. So those are things sure. But as far as eating it, it's only eating it when it's cooked together. If it's not cooked together, there's no issue in the Torah to eat milk and meat.
But the benefit side, if I get benefit because I like the milk and meat together, is that considered halal?
No, because it's not basar b'chalav. You're not allowed to benefit from basar b'chalav. It's only considered basar b'chalav if it was cooked together. And possibly, if it got together other ways, Midaraisa could be also mutter. If it was, we'll talk about fried, or maybe if it was, baked, or if it was kavush, it was pickled together, different ways. But we'll discuss that. But the Midaraisa, it has to be cooked together. If it's not cooked together, it's not basar b'chalav. There's nothing wrong with it. Mm-hmm. It's like meat and potatoes.
And the prohibition of eating fowl and dairy, was it the same time, or that
so
was done later?
Okay, so that's a second thing. Then there's something called basar oif. There's chicken. Chicken is only rabbinical. It's only midrabanan. It's machlokes in the Mishnah if it's the rice or drabanan basar oif. But halacha, it's only midrabanan basar oif. Eating basar oif with milk, even if it's cooked together, is also only midrabanan. That's midrabanan.
And that takana is at the same time of the other three, or that's later?
I don't know exactly when each one came. Yeah, but there's Isser. So the Isser min Torah is only when it's cooked together. If it's not cooked together, if pre-Rabbanan times, you can eat it.
Oh, you said pre. Okay.
Just
want to get that clear. Wasn't sure if I heard it correctly.
So I'm just going to get a hold of this video. There'll be a lot of.
Now, and with chicken, there's no Isser Midaraisa halacha to eat cooked chicken with milk, but midrabanan it's also and it's also midrabanan. It's important to remember that. Now, when it comes to eating them together, when they're not cooked together, there's no Isser Midaraisa, it's also midrabanan. But that Isser Midrabanan they took very far, as we'll see. They took it very far. So there's a halacha which we'll get into later, which is called kinuach v'hadacha. In other words, if I want to eat milk and meat, or meat and milk, okay, we'll get to the exact cases. So I would have to do kinuach v'hadacha, and also washing your hands. In other words, you have to wash your hands to make sure there's no residue. You would have to rinse out your mouth to make sure there's nothing in your mouth. And rinsing your mouth, you do two ways. You eat something, which if you eat a piece of bread, or it doesn't have to be bread, it could be other things. Not everything qualifies, but you could eat something in between, which takes out the taste of the previous food in your mouth. Or you do hadacha, which is to rinse out your mouth, which means you take a drink. So if you want to switch from one to the next, the halacha is you have to do kinuach v'hadacha and wash your hands. Okay, this is the halacha of
What's kinuach?
kinuach is to wipe. So when you put something in your mouth, and you chew it, piece of bread in your mouth, for example, everybody knows, let's say, between the fish and the meat, right? You have to have fish and meat. So the minute is to do kinuach v'adacha, so you take a bite of bread or you take a drink, and then you sort of washed out. For example, I have a kid, a child that just had a chicken, and now we give him or her a bottle of milk. So you tell her at some point when they get slightly older, you tell them to take a drink in between.
I thought you said you want to eat something first, wipe it, and then drink it. Is it sufficient enough to have a drink?
Really, you need both. I mean, talking about a child, something else, but really, you should need both. You take a bite and then eat. So,
is it a good idea to brush the teeth to get the meat out?
Yeah, but brushing the teeth is a good question. Brushing the teeth is not brought down in the halacha. So the question is that do the job as chewing? Because chewing might take the taste out of the whole mouth. You eat something, a piece of bread, and it sort of washes it down. So that the halacha says. The halacha doesn't talk about brushing teeth, so it's hard to know if that would be sufficient as a halachic basics.
But there's also an issue of brushing teeth on Yom Tov or Shabbat.
Yeah, you can always brush your teeth.
That was the question.
Bread or a cracker would work for the same?
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
that's called kinuch v'adacha. So in other words, Chazal made a separation. Even though technically you could eat it together, but the midrabanan you can't eat it together. And not only can't eat it together, you have to make a separation now between the two. That there shouldn't be any residue left in your hands and your mouth. You should have it separate. That's stage one. Okay.
Is that considered putting a fence around the?
Yeah. A person shouldn't come to eating basar and challah together. Yeah.
Can you say that term one more time slowly so I can write it down? The term of cleaning out your mouth.
Kinuach
Kinuach.
and hadacha.
Kinuach and
Hadacha.
hadacha. Thank you.
It's not a popular language.
Boris says over here, has Swedish and Russian.
What's your spell check?
Kanech u'madiach. Deal with that.
Hadacha is the drinking. Drinking with water.
Okay.
Wow.
Boris says, "B'chol mili have a kinuach." Any food is considered kinuach except for kimcha, flour, tamri, and yarka. You can't use vegetables for they're too soft. So you can't use them. Okay. Anyway, so the Gemara says like this. Now we come to the thing. Now the Gemara says like this. Rab Chizah says, if you eat meat, you all know this halacha, achol basar, also lechel gvina, you're not allowed to eat cheese. Gvina, if you ate cheese, mutter lechel basar. So this is, we know. After a meal of fleischiks, you're not allowed to eat milchiks. After a meal of milchiks, you're allowed to eat fleischiks. So the Gemara says like this. The Gemara says, we'll skip over, but we'll come back to that. The Gemara says, Amar Mar Ukva, I'm no the whole milsar, I am to this thing, this halacha, cholog bar chamra. I am vinegar the son, I don't know if you ever heard of this expression, I am vinegar the son of wine. In other words, I'm not as makbid as my parents were, my father was. Gabi Abba. The Ilu Abba, my father, Kiabi Achel Bisr Idna, if he ate meat today, that was the end. He didn't eat cheese until tomorrow. And even by Bilana, but me, in this Suda I don't eat meat. A separate Suda I do eat meat.
Under some cheeses you also have to wait.
What?
Some cheeses.
We'll get to that. The Gemara talks about eating cheese after meat, so it says like this. He said, my father used to wait till the next day, 24 hours, the same time the next day. Me, I'm only vinegar, so I wait only till the next Suda. This Suda I won't eat. The Gemara brings other cases of vinegar, the son of wines, but they didn't do as much as the father. I was in Israel a year ago. My brother-in-law, son-in-law, is a grandson from Yaakov Kamenetsky. So he says his father used to say, he says Yaakov Kamenetsky used to not drink. He used to, for some reason, they don't know why, he wouldn't drink coffee with milk on Friday afternoon. He wouldn't have milk in his coffee for a while. Nobody understood why, because it's inflation. You know. But his father used to say, I'm vinegar, the son of wine. My father didn't drink coffee with milk. I drink coffee with milk. I just don't have milk milk. But anyways, I'm trying to understand why he had such a vinegar. But that's what the Gemara says. So the question is, what does this mean? In this Suda, I don't eat milk. I don't eat. But the next Suda, I will eat. Okay, that's what the Gemara says. And this is halacha l'maisa.
We're talking dairy to meat.
Meat to dairy.
We're talking meat to dairy.
Meat to dairy. If he ate meat, he's not going to eat dairy
Till
the next Suda.
The vinegar.
So, Tosfos says, it doesn't mean, lunch to supper or whatever. All it means is, I feel out right away. If you remove the table and you bench, you're starting a new meal, you could go right ahead and have milchiks. That's what Tosfos paskins. So he paskins Tosfos halacha l'maisa that you don't have to wait anything. All you have to do is, finish the meal, bench, and then you'll do your kanuach hadach or whatever you'll do, and you'll start the next meal. You can have milchiks. The other Rishonim say no. What the Gemara means, Suda Achrina, means that normal time it takes to get to another Suda. In those days, it was 6 hours. Okay, that was 6 hours, another Suda. So according to that, you gotta wait 6 hours. The Gemara means Suda Achrina, even though Gemara just says another meal. What the Gemara actually means is another Suda. That's what the Gemara means. So, halacha l'maisa, we'll just cut all the Rishonim and the discussion out. The halacha l'maisa is like this. The Mechaber in Shulchan Aruch says, "Ochel basar afilu shel chay v'oif." Even chicken, which is midrabanan, lo yochel gvina acharav. You shouldn't eat cheese afterwards. Achi yisha sheish shois. You have to wait 6 hours. Now we're going to get to the next point of this halacha in a moment. We'll skip that for a bit. So you have to wait 6 hours. Others say no. You don't have to wait 6 hours. Rak miyad, imsilak, if you remove the table, like in the old days, we went to Pesach, you remove the table. Imsilak, and they benched. Mutter aydei kinuach v'adacha, you're allowed to have a meal right away through kinuach v'adacha. This is the Ramah. Okay, so the Sfardim are finished, they have to wait 6 hours. And the Ashkenazim, the Ramah says, Yeshayimim, you don't have to wait.
That's like Tosfos.
That's like Tosfos. Zokt Ramah, v'minag ha-poshet b'medinas elu, the minhag ha-poshet in our medinas is lahamten achra achilles basa sha'achas. So you should wait 1 hour. The minhag is to wait 1 hour, and there's a whole discussion where does hour come from. Why an hour?
Sorry, who says an hour?
The Ramos.
Didn't the Ramah just said you can change right over?
The Ramah says yesh oimrim paskin you could change right over.
Right.
And then he says the minhag in our medinas is to wait an hour. Miyup, we get our bench in between. If you don't bench, you're still part. You have to remember, the ikar halacha is you got to be in a separate suda. So if you didn't bench, you're not out of that suda yet. Now this, by the way, is true even if you wait 6 hours. Let's say you have a grand chassan, who knows what's going on. You're at some convention and you spend the whole day in the eating. A lot of people do that. But you're a whole day in the ballroom. So you have a suda, you eat meat, and then 6 hours later they want to serve the cheese blintzes, and but you haven't benched yet. You can't, because it's the same suda. The halacha is, according to Ramah, even though it sounds like the Mechaber is more chumr, he said 6 hours, but there's a chumr here in the Ramah, because he holds there has to be a separate suda. So if you have a long going suda, you can't just eat milk, you have to bench first. Now you can eat. Okay. Then he says, V'yeshaymim, that's what he brings. Brings says like this at the end. V'yesh medaktikim, there are those that are medaktik, lahamtim shei shois, acha achilas basal agrina, those are medaktik to wait 6 hours, v'chein nocha and masa, he said it's proper to do that. So that's the progression in the Ramah. He says the halacha is the same suda, and the next suda you can eat. He says the minhag is to wait an hour. He says v'medaktikim wait 6 hours, v'chein nocha and masa, he said that's what it's proper to do. That's what do you do with such a Ramah? What are you supposed to do? So, as we know, the Taz, and they all talk about it, that brings the Trumas Adeshan, that people that are b'nei Torah, roy limchos v'ligabahem, that they shouldn't do less than 6 hours. He says the Lavush says this 1 hour of the Ramah is from the Smag with Toy Seifer. It's a mistake. No Poisik says that.
But the Dutch apparently, so I keep hearing that
The Holland, right? The Dutch did 1 hour. They did from like Ramah 1 hour. The Dutch did 1 hour.
They eat a lot.
And there's another very common minhag which is 3 hours, which is the Yakis. The Yakis do 3 hours. I don't know what the Sfarim do, but according to the Machaber, the Sfarim should have to wait 6 hours.
So where were you from if you're a Yeki? Because my ancestry comes from Austria.
Germany. Germany.
Is it the full 3 hours that you have to wait? Is it like a complete 3 hours, or is it a portion?
3 hours, a complete 3 hours. So that's where the question is where all these minhagim came from. But the 1 hour comes from here, and then there's a 3 hour minhag. There's a 3 hour minhag. Some say 4 hours because the food starts being digested. Then after 3 hours, it starts being digested, and it's only finished by 6 hours. B'kitzur, this is the different minhagim that came about, but it's based. All these minhagim are based on the Ramah that me'ikur the dina and paskim like Tosfos that once you start a new suit, it's really mutter. Just for whatever reason, they decided that you're supposed to wait an hour now or 3 hours. That's how the minhagim go.
Rabbi, I've heard of the 6 hours. It's the 6th hour, so it's 5 plus hours.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. According to the Machaber, you got to wait full 6 hours. That's what it says. Yeah. Now, okay. So there's different minhagim. There's some people wait 1 hour. Today, I don't think there's really any people left that really wait 1 hour. I think that minhag is basically. Not around too much, but 3 hours is a minhag that's quite common, and by certain people. And then there's a minhag of 6 hours. And everybody's asking, well, how do you count these 6 hours? How do you count these? What should a regular person do? How do you count the 6 hours? Let's say a guy without a minhag, could he go ahead and just do choose the Ramah or what should he do? So first of all, counting these 6 hours, the question. Okay, do you count from the end of the meal, or do you count from after you had your cholent, after you had your meat? Do you count? Do you count from when he's starting the next meal? Does it have to be 6 hours between meal to a meal? Or do you do between the actual meat and between the actual cheese? So while there are shittas, the Shulchan Aruch say you have to wait till the end of the meal. The minhag is not to. The minhag is that as long as once you finish, you can check the clock. When you finished eating took the last swallow of your meat, you can start the clock 6 hours, and then that could go until you start actually eating the milk. So whether the Suda stopped and started right afterwards, you start a new Suda afterwards, it's not totally on that. You're already in a second Suda, so it doesn't matter. And the 6 hour minhag would actually go from bite to bite. Okay, you could put it simple. Now, that's how most people go. Now, there have been those that say, well, 6 hour means into the 6th hour, and so on and so forth. And actually,
is that shtick? Or is there actually
there are poskim that go like that, but in halacha it's very hard to find a source for this shita. Actually, in Lakewood, they actually structure their sidarim. The morning say that ends quite late, so it ends about 1:30. I can't remember. What? 1:40. So you go to eat, and they have fleishiks. So sometimes a little bit later. So they have fleishiks for lunch, and then you have second seder, and then they have milchiks for supper. Now the problem is, you don't really have 6 hours between lunch and supper. So it's a problem. You don't have 6 hours. To a Byron held that as long as you have 5.5 hours, you're good. 5.5 hours. In other words, a half hour. And we find many times in halacha that when you need an hour, a half hour is enough. The Olam is seimach on this, for example. Many people are seimach on this. They'll do, when a woman goes to a mikveh, she has to do chadas for an hour. It says she has to do a chafifa for an hour. So no, go after a half hour. Half hour preparation, that's considered an hour. You find a lot of halachic things that once in a half hour. See soon And here also it applies. Once you're a half hour in, that's considered like an hour. So when you're in a half hour through the sixth hour, you're done. And therefore he yelled that that's how they go. That's how they go. And they structure the meals like that.
Why not have milk picks for lunch?
What?
Why not just have milk picks for lunch?
I don't know. So basically, I had at the time I asked Forshaim. Actually, he's the wrong guy to ask because he's a yekik. He probably only gets 3 hours. But I asked him, what should I do? If I wait 6 hours, and today there's plenty of food, but in those days there wasn't so much food. And if you missed your supper, not geschmack. So he said, so he said, go bust in a makom that you're in. And it's a makom shenagu, as long as you're a bacher in yeshiva. You're married is different, but if you're a bacher in yeshiva, you go after the minhag and you could leave after 5.5 hours. It was always a little strange, What else that's so there's a minhag. So this is a second question. The question is, there are different minhagim. If I come from one place where they do one minhag and I'm going to another place where they keep another minhag, how do you do it? So sometimes you got to keep. Could you go lakula, or do you keep the chumri of makom that you went from? So there are halachas where you could go lakulas. In other words, if I came from a makom shenago one way and I'm in a place with nagu someplace else, many halachas you go lakula and go after the minhag of the place you're in. So
works for Sphira.
Like Sphira is different. If there's minhagim. So Moshe has a tshuva, for example. Someone gets married, a lady gets married. There's a very common shaila. A lady had one minhag, she didn't eat gebrachs, okay, and the husband eats gebrachs, and the husband says, I hope we're going to have good geschmack knedlach over Pesach, and the wife said, knedlach chametz, I had to train my wife to eat gebrachs after she got married. It wasn't easy. It's part of the training in process. Initiation, So actually, it's a big machlokes. So the Moshe holds that we consider a marriage like a new makom like a makom. In other words, in America, it's a melting pot, and every guy down the block has a different minhag. It's not like in the old days in Europe where each shtat had a minhag. So you went to that city, so you went to a makom shenagu. But here, everybody has a whole different minhag, and there's no specific place.
But just for the woman.
Yeah, so if the woman marries the man, so he holds that she picks up the minhagim of the men. It's as if they went to the city of where the man lives. That's how she looks at it. Other places can argue, so there's no such thing today. And a woman has to keep her old minhagim. That will get quite complex and cause all kinds of shalom bayis problems. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, this whole halacha doesn't apply. But Moshe came up with this, that it's considered makom shenagu, and the olam is saimach on that for various minhagim. And when a woman marries a man, so a woman marries a Sephardi man, a Pesach, the woman starts eating kibnius. She starts having rice or whatever, That's how the olam is noig. Hagam and halacha is very not simple, but the soimach on this with Moshe, and they do that.
I was referring to when you could have your simcha. I think you can have it before Rosh Chodesh or the first.
Yeah, same like that. So that's even lighter.
The ones who don't eat gebrachs, do they believe it's chametz?
No, it's a chum.
They don't believe it.
No, it's a chum. So the different mekayimos how the noheg and this is, but l'maisa Hagam the Ramah seems to take the din of the halacha is that it's from suda l'suda, and this that he says to wait 6 hours is only hamadaktikin wait 6 hours. Many poskim, like I read here on the Taz and others, argue strongly on Ramah, and they hold even Ashkenazim hold lahalacha that you have to wait 6 hours. It's not just lahalacha, it's just a minhag. They hold it's actually lahalacha, you have to wait 6 hours, and they take the view of the Machaber that most Rishonim and Poskim hold you have to wait 6 hours. And that's the how most Klal Yisrael goes, that it's not a minhag, it's actually a halacha, and we're mechuyev to wait to 6 hours. And that's how basically we paskin. And therefore the Poskim say that if you have a guy that's not sure what to do, he's not sure what his minhag is, the proper thing is to do 6 hours, because most Poskim hold like that, halacha. Even though that's the Machaber, and the Ramah seems to argue, but nonetheless, they go that that's the Iker halacha. So if that's the Iker halacha, so you have to take that opinion, and we go most poskim and we go 6 hours. That's the halacha. So a guy is Baal Tshuva, or if he's whatever, comes again, and what minhag should he take? He doesn't really have the right to go ahead unless he's living in the city where that's the minhag. you live in Washington Heights and it's a Yeki community that you can join, then possibly you could join them in Hagim. But a stam guy out there should be keeping the halacha of 6 hours. Now,
If the kinuach and hadacha is first sort of fence
Right.
around the basic,
right.
isn't this a second?
This is a second fence, and it's good you brought this up because I was going to mention this. That if you wait the proper shear, you do not have to do kinuach and hadacha anymore. So if you wait the 6 hours, or even the 1 hour, according to that minute to wait, and it could be that's where the minute comes from. If you wait the 1 hour, you do not have to do kinuach and hadacha. You don't have to do kinuach and hadacha afterwards.
You can never do it earlier, so what does that mean?
When do you do kinuach and hadacha earlier?
If it's...
So there are cases where possibly could do it earlier. So a chayla, for example, a chayla that needs to have milk could wait an hour. A chayla could wait an hour. Could be samach on the Ramah and wait an hour. Someone who's sick, and there are people that are considered sick. You could have sometimes some person being down a nursing mother is considered a chayla, and possibly could wait an hour. Now, Hagam the place could bring that. Today, it's not so necessary. You know, in those days, they didn't have so many products and vitamins and who knows what out there. And it was taka chayla, and the taka needed the milk. But today, people don't eat milk their whole lives. People are off dairy, and there are all kinds of other supplements, and people get by fine. So, to just go ahead and be makel that they could eat milk after an hour is difficult unless there's a pressing reason for it. But someone that's a chayla could eat milk after an hour. There's such a halacha. If someone needs to eat less than an hour, they would have to do kinuach v'adacha. So that's such a situation. Okay, so that's halacha. So I always held, I don't know, I spoke to Rabbi Miller about this, and he sort of was masking, but I can't quote him on this because I'm not sure. But there's this makam shenagu bit. You have a lot of people that come from the 3 hour yaki, and they move to Toronto. The halacha is like this. The halacha is that there's always a question of different minhagim in one city, right? You have many different minhagim in one city. You have a problem with it's to do. It's to do. You're not supposed to have in one city different people doing different things. It's halacha. It's to do. So why do we see it all the time? So we're based on the halachas that says that if you have 2 batei dinim kavuim in the city, then you have 2 minhagim in the city. So in other words, today you don't batei dinim kavuim, but if you have 2 shuls, 2 communities in one city, so then you can't say the minhag of the city is one way. You have 2 communities, and this community does one way, this community the other way. So for example, you have Sephardim in the city, you have Ashkenazim in the city. You can't say Toronto is Ashkenazic because you have down the block you have Sephardi Gila Center, which is a community. They have a community. So therefore, if a Sephardi wants to eat kitnius on Pesach, if you would move to a place where there's no Sephardim around, period, moves to a city where there's absolutely no Sephardim around, he's not allowed to eat kitnius on Pesach because it's a makom shenogu not to eat it. He has no halacha. He has no right to go ahead and eat kitnius.
So that would have been the case when the first Sephardi came to Toronto.
Right.
If there was Ashkenazi here before Sephardi.
So Ashkenazim around, all the shuls are Ashkenazi, and there's no Sephardi shul there. They don't have a separate community. They can't just go eat rice. They only told us Pesach, and there's a community we don't eat it. So it's a child voice is guided. They can't do that. The only heter they have is because there is batei dinim kavuim. In other words, they have a community, and therefore they're part of that community. They don't have to actually be a member of the shul. But the point is that there is such a community. There's a valid minhag in the city, and therefore they have the right to keep that minhag.
So one could ask the question: do they even have the right to establish a community? And if they do, what is the requirement? Is it to have 10 men?
It's a very good question. So when the Grushay Sfard were chased all over the world, these were big fights they had, battles they had in Amsterdam and other places in history. This was a tremendous a cause of machlokes. They came in and they started doing the Omen Hagim. Well, what are you coming to us here, Ashkenazi place, and doing your Omen Hagim? You want to come live here? Join the Minhag HaMokim. And those battles are bitter fights. This was, but in America it all sort of happened at once. People were just chased out and they came and it became one big melting pot. So everybody's around. But there are different, you have to have that set up. So Mela, a Yaki living here in Toronto, there is no batei dinim kavuim. You don't have any Yakish shuls here in Toronto. They're all Polish or some Hungarish. This is where it comes from. You don't have the old broilers, or you don't have it. In Baltimore you have, in New York you have, in other places you have, but here you don't have it. It's very difficult for someone that's keeping those minhagim, l'kula, to go ahead and eat after 3 hours when the entire city of Toronto doesn't eat after 3 hours. It's very difficult.
But it's one way in the sense, like if an Ashkenazi would move to a Sephardi community, could he start eating kidney?
It could be l'kula. It could be the certain halachas where you could go l'kula even if you move to them. Yeah. If the whole city is like that, yeah. You move to Morocco, you know. So
So how do people hold with 3 hours here
I
then?
don't know how
They shouldn't.
They shouldn't. They shouldn't.
What if their families in Lakewood or wherever?
They go back. They could when they're sitting here, and they shouldn't.
When I was growing up in England, the standard practice was 3 hours, because the first Ashkenazim to come to England were from Germany. The vast majority, when I was growing up, weren't from Germany. They're from
Right.
Poland or
But they joined
or Hungary.
right,
But
right.
they except those who had a really strong minhag. You know, almost everyone I knew kept 3 hours.
Interesting. Yeah. Sometimes the Mokum has a certain minhag. That's the way it is. Now, okay, that's one point. So, your wife is cooking and she wants to taste the food for Shabbos, but she still wants to have her whatever, pizza
Coffee.
afterwards.
Coffee with milk.
Coffee with milk. So the shaila is, why do you have to? What constitutes eating fleishiks that you can't eat milk afterwards? Okay, that's question number one. Good question. So la halacha, it says like this: there's a machlokes Rambam and Rashi. Okay, what's the reason why you can't eat? Why you have to wait 6 hours? What's the reason? So the Rambam says because you might have pieces left between your teeth. You eat meat, you chew meat. You're gonna have a piece of meat stuck between your teeth, and it won't come out so fast. So that's why you have to wait 6 hours. After 6 hours, even if the piece of meat is still in your teeth, the Rambam holds,
No longer meat.
or to most poskim, even if the teeth it's not meat anymore, it's sort of got already started the
Decomposed.
digestion process, so it's lost its terrorist meat, and then you're okay. So that's the Rambam. The reason why you have to wait 6 hours because of the piece of meat that's stuck between the teeth. Rashi says it's because of the tam that's in the cheich. The tam that gets into your mouth, into the throat, the tam of the meat stays around and doesn't totally get lost until after 6 hours. So the nafkamina would be, let's say a person chews the meat. Say you have a child or a sick person now, so you chew it up for them and then you give it to them. So you chew the meat, but you don't actually swallow it. So according to the Rambam, you might have a piece of meat stuck in your teeth. Who cares you didn't swallow it? But according to Rashi, the taste that lingers in the mouth comes from the process of actually swallowing it, and that you didn't have, you would be able to eat right after it was milk. Well, the other way around. Let's say you swallowed, but you didn't chew.
Yeah, you take like chicken broth or
Like a tavshil, right? So technically, l'chayra, according to the Rambam, you didn't chew. There shouldn't be a problem. According to Rashi, there's a problem. Might even according to the Rambam, there could be there's a light plug on that. We don't get into what kind of meat you're eating. We'll see.
Loy plug
But
means what?
we don't differentiate.
Okay.
Either way. L'maisa, alocha l'maisa, we're machmer according to both shittas. So this works both ways. We're machmer according to both shittas, meaning that if you chew it, you can't eat meat afterwards. And we're machmer that if you ate meat, let's say, and you wait 6 hours, and now you have now you check your teeth. Oh, I have a piece of meat still. After 6 hours, I have a piece of meat in my tooth. Do I have to remove it before I eat my coffee? So according to the Rambam, you don't have to. According to Rashi, you would have to because we don't find that kula. We don't find that kula that meat is not considered meat after 6 hours. Therefore, you have to remove. That's the halacha. The Rambam says you have to remove. The Mechaber says, "V'afilu m'shok kashirim yesh basav en shnayim tzarich lasiroi." And then he says also, "V'haloyas latinik, if you chew for a child, tzarich lahamtin." So he goes both chumras. But technically, this is only on meat itself. What about food cooked with meat? You have a chicken soup, okay? And you want to eat the soup, you're not going to eat the chicken. So you eat the soup, now I'm allowed to have milchiks afterwards. right? So the L'maisa halacha is that we machma that also. That's also asa. If you have a soup made out of that's cooked together with the meat, you have to wait 6 hours for that too. Even if you're just going to eat a soup cooked with milk, but not or cooked with cheese, but not the cheese itself. So we're machma on all ends that if you have a tavshil of a meat tavshil, and you want to eat now a dairy tavshil, that you have to wait 6 hours. But something that's cooked in a fleshiga pot, or something that's cooked in a fleshiga pot, that does not require you to wait 6 hours. Now the shach has a chiddush. So let's say I have,
Fish.
what?
Fish cooked in a meat pot. Is that an example?
Well, fish we'll get into. Let's leave fish out. So fish is another discussion, but we'll get to that. But let's just talk about basar v'chalav. Let's say you have
rice.
Like potatoes.
you have let's say you have a pot that you cooked your chicken soup in, but you didn't wash it out properly. Okay, and now you cook a part of a dish in it. So the fact that you use a fleshiga pot doesn't concern us. You could eat afterwards. But there may be residue of the meat in the pot, which I wasn't so careful to clean out. Okay? So does that require me now to wait 6 hours? Someone took a spoon that was used, a ladle, the ladle that was used for the chicken soup, and now dipped it into the other soup and the part of the soup and poured it. So am I fleishiks from that? Is that causing me to be fleishiks?
Is this the nosin tam question?
So, good. If it's less than
Not part
shishim,
of-
it's not nosin tam, so then you don't have to wait. But if it's, let's say it is more than shishim, there's enough residue there that maybe it's a small cup that had some fleishiks in it, do I have to wait 6 hours? I'm going to give you some good examples, which are very soon, but let's get to the whole place here. So the shach says that, according to the way most Muslims learn, the shach is that you do not have to wait 6 hours. Even if you don't have 60, which is a share bittul against the meat itself, as long as you don't taste the meat. You don't taste the meat in your soup, so you don't have to wait 6 hours.
How do you
It's
go
not
till you
called-
taste it?
It's not so much in there. Usually you don't taste it. It's just residue stuff there. So you don't really taste it. So
Tom kicker.
so that would be a kula that you do not have to wait 6 hours from that. And Gordin, Paiskim say a chiddush, that let's say I cook in the same oven. Okay, you cook milchiks and parv in the same oven. Cook in the same oven, and it's something which makes zayah. We'll talk about this later. Something which makes steam. So you have, let's say, your roast. You're cooking your chicken roast, and there's juice in the bottom of the roast, and you have your challah in the oven together with the chicken roast, or you have something else in the oven, some dessert there in the oven together with the chicken roast. So that makes a zayah. Now that food is fleishiks. You cannot eat that food together with milchiks, because you have the steam of the chicken coming all over the oven, and so that food is considered fleishiks. You would not be allowed to eat it with milchiks. But you don't have to wait 6 hours. If you'd eat that milchiks, even though it's considered fleishiks, it's not bottle, because you don't have shishim, it's not considered bottle. It's considered fleishiks. You wouldn't be able to actually have it on the table together with your pizza, but nonetheless, you don't have to wait 6 hours. You can eat it separately. It's not considered. So this 6 hours, we don't add on to the chumrah. It's enough that if you have a tavshul of basar, you have a meaty soup, that you have to wait. But something which we don't consider a tavshul of basar, we don't make you wait 6 hours, even though technically it may have a meat in there, a halacha, that would cause you to wait, to not eat it together with milchiks. You do not have to wait 6 hours. Now I'm going to tell you a shaila. I don't know the answer to the shaila. Shaila I get all the time. You go to Joe Booz is not around anymore, but you go to some other place like that. I'm not up to date to who has the good fries, and you buy yourself French fries. You buy yourself French fries. the good deep fried, geschmack, schmaltz French fries.
The healthy stuff.
And now you eat it, you don't eat any fleischiks. Now you want to know, could I go ahead and eat milchiks? Or do I have to wait 6 hours? Huh? What do you think?
What's the issue? Where's
The issue is like this.
What are the kalim? You have to.
What's the issue? What is the issue? The issue is like this. They have a whole pot of oil, the deep fry thing, what they fry it in. And in that oil, they take chicken, and they fry it in that oil.
Oh, if they do.
They pull out the chicken, and then they stick in your French fries.
That's a
Well,
problem.
then you have a problem.
That's a problem.
How do you know what they do? I have to ask them what they do.
The fries
Can you
in a
trust
basket, and they just put fries that are not the same oil.
Right.
But no, I didn't realize they put the chicken in there too.
They do other, I don't know, chicken, I don't know, but they have fleischiks in there. They have fleischiks cooking in that oil. I mean, you got to find out. If it's just a question of the kalim, it could be makel. But if it's a question of the oil actually has fleischiks in there, you got a serious problem. You have a serious problem. Now, if you have 60, I don't know if you have 60. If you have 60 times oil against whatever food they put in there, okay,
We got
Maybe
100
can make
times
'em.
oil. Very oily.
who's eating the oil? Huh?
And also,
Nobody's eating the oil.
So is there a waiting period afterwards, like for half an hour, something like that?
No, you have to wait 6 hours.
wait
If it's
6 hours.
fleischiks,
Okay,
you're stuck. You're 6 hour deal.
Yeah.
The question is if it has, maybe it doesn't pick up the meaty taste. I don't know, maybe there's room to be makel that it doesn't pick up the meaty taste. You have to really verify how much they put in there. But
And
that's
the
gonna
fact
be
that it's chicken, you don't become
So the question is, if it's chicken, could you say a suffix?
right.
If it's chicken is drabanan. Could you say suffix drabanan? Because big machlokes. If you say the concept over here of suffix drabanan makula
looking for a cooler.
on chicken, you say suffix drabanan makula. Okay.
So what's the bottom line in that
It's a
case?
suffix and a suffix.
You don't have to wait.
Call up the store and ask them if they fry any meat
Okay, so-
directly in there.
Oh, you're saying if it's a suffix, you're not sure.
Yeah.
So if you are sure,
Yeah, if you call them up and they say they don't fry any meat directly in there, or they
Right.
didn't maybe in the last,
Ron, you go next door to Udo's and get their fries. Because you don't order.
all right.
Now, there's a couple more points. Let's get late. A couple more points here. So you take your plate. Today you heat up in the microwave. So you take your plate that has chicken on it and you have rice on it. And some plates even have separate. You heat it up in the oven. The potato could heat up in the oven. You have pans that have separate pockets in them. So it's another half of the sefer. Says you have different pockets in them, and some you can have your fleischiks in it, and some you have rice or potatoes or whatever in the other pockets. I'm just going to eat the potatoes. Do I have to wait now 6 hours?
Is there anything cooking in the other pockets at that time?
Yeah, you put it in the oven together. You put it in the oven, everything together. It's not only two separate kalim, it's the same kli, just with a little division in between.
Maybe you got sayah still.
So Zeyu, we said, we're not concerned about for waiting 6 hours. You can't eat it together with the milchiks, but you don't have to wait 6 hours because of the steam. But the question here is, it's the same kli. And we know the tom goes straight through the kli. If it's metal, it goes straight through into the other part. But again,
All right.
place can I make on that's not considered, even though, again, it has a din of fleischiks. You can't eat it with milchiks. But that wouldn't be considered a tavshil shel basar, and you would not have to wait 6 hours for that.
Tom goes through the plate?
Time goes through a kli. For example, if I have a pot cooking, full pot cooking, and I have another pot of fleischiks cooking next to it, and a piece of some of the chicken soup spills and hits the side of the pot. It's the side outside of the pot. That makes the soup fleischiks because it goes through into the pot and into the soup. If you don't have 60 keneged that spill, then question how you count it. Hanan is the complicated. Maybe we'll get to it.
Is it the same with clay? No,
What?
not with clay. No.
Same thing. It goes through. So it goes in and it goes through. So that makes it food fleischiks. But the question is, would I have to wait 6 hours for that? That could be different. In other words, we could consider that not a tafshil of fleischiks, and perhaps I would not have to wait the 6 hours.
So what if people who double wrap their fish and throw it on their barbecue then? Double wrap in aluminum foil.
Does the zayah consider that penetrates
Asking,
it.
are they allowed to eat the fish?
Right.
I heard not in the barbecue, but in the oven.
The oven, it's okay, yeah. Barbecue.
What's the difference?
Question mark?
Because the meat touched directly the grill of the barbecue.
But if it's inside the foot,
Now, just before I end, I just want to mention one more thing here.
Few. Didn't want to let that
One
slip
more
by.
thing over here. So tasting the, sure, we started with tasting first. We started with tasting the food. So that's the halacha, you're not allowed to chew it and then spit it out. You still have to wait 6 hours. But if you're not chewing the food and you're not swallowing it, then you wouldn't have to wait 6 hours. So if you would take the soup, put it in the mouth, or taste it with her tongue, and then spit it out, she would not have to wait 6 hours. She should rinse out her mouth, but she doesn't have to wait 6 hours. So if she wants to taste the food, you know, the kugel or whatever, not a kugel, but something that has fleishiks in it, the meat, so she puts it in her mouth and just sucks it without chewing it
Or swallowing.
and not swallowing
If you
it.
suck on it, you might swallow.
Yeah, you can't swallow and you can't chew. You just taste it. Then you would not have to wait to 6 hours. You could just rinse out your mouth and
Wash your hands.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's strange that they don't put a fence around that because it's so simple to swallow a little bit.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, it seems like, how would that ever really happen? in
Yeah, it's
practical-
called te'ima. It's called te'ima without swallowing.
Okay, a
No,
person
it
who's
tastes-
cooking, I suppose.
Yeah, so
Oh,
someone's
someone's
cooking,
cooking.
wants to taste to see if there's enough salt, if there's enough this.
So mom should
They
spit
taste
it out?
and spit it out. And then they don't have to wait 6 hours.
And they have
You
to
don't
rinse
have
their
that.
mouth.
Just
as
rinse
they
their mouth
speak.
out because you put it in your mouth. You rinse out your mouth, but that's it, and you're good. That's the halacha. Now, one more point here. What about, we're talking all about here eating milchiks after fleishiks. It's all talking eating milchiks after fleishiks. What about fleishiks after milchiks? Is there any waiting period for fleishiks after milchiks?
Or hard cheese.
So hard cheese, you would have to wait. That's a discussion. Parmesan, possibly anything that was cheese that was aged for 6 months as a din of hard cheese, or any cheese that has a very cheesy, oily taste, the residue in the mouth. There's certain cheeses are very strong that were sliu, that they've got worms in them. The general populace doesn't eat these cheeses. You do see them in the store. I don't know.
Sorry, what did you say about worms and cheese?
The
Cheese
cheese
they sell with worms.
Gorgonzola.
has worms in it. What do you know about cheese? I don't know.
Nothing.
I guess
Well,
right
what about
now,
cheese?
evidently nothing.
Cheese, old
Except for I'm not
cheese
gonna
has
eat it
worms. The
anymore.
worms make the cheese into geschmack cheese.
Really?
You have to
Just
be
make sure
careful
not to eat the
with
worms.
Never heard of that.
Oh boy.
Anyways, so there are cheeses, but the general cheese we have, not a Parmesan cheese, could be there's a whole shylif. They artificially age it in a much shorter period,
Bring
but
it
they
to
do a
market faster.
6-month aging in shorter time. Look in the process. Is that considered age? That's a whole shylif. But I want to discuss something else. Generally speaking, cheese you can eat after milk, and the halachas you can eat right after milk. You just have to do kinuach and adacha, wash your hands. After meat, you can eat cheese. You just wash your hands, rinse out your mouth.
No.
After cheese, you can eat meat. Sorry, after cheese, you can eat meat. You just have to wash,
Edit
rinse out
that.
your mouth, kinuach v'adacha, and you can eat it right away. Boys, coming down. The Zohar says you have to wait an hour. The Zohar says to wait an hour after eating meat, after eating cheese to eat milk and meat. You have to wait an hour. And many people, based on the Zohar, have a minute to wait a half hour. Like we said, a half hour is into the hour. And this is a very common minhag that people wait a half hour after eating cheese to eat meat. Yeah, it's a very common minhag. It's based on the Zohar. It's based on the Zohar. In halacha, there's no such requirement whatsoever. In halacha, you could just do kinuach and adacha and have your fleishiks. There's no such requirement, even in the same meal. You could rinse out and
Unless it's hard. How long did you say how long to wait? Because hard cheese? Did you say that already?
hard cheese is 6 hours. the same
It
thing.
is also 6 hours.
Yeah, hard cheese is 6 hours, but regular cheese is
Well, it's not hard
halacha. You don't
cheese.
have to wait anything at all.
It's
You just do the
aged
kinuach and adacha. But
Yeah, with the-
again, the Zohar has
be hard
this
as
thing
well.
of waiting an hour. Sheminig
could be
based
hard
on
as
that
well.
is a half
Tradition.
hour.
Almost
So
like
it's a very common
Either
minhag.
or.
No.
And
No,
it's a lachatchila thing to do based on the Zohar. But halacha, there's no chiyuv to do it whatsoever. Halacha, the halacha is you can eat the meat right away after you eat the cheese, as long as you do the kinuach and the hadacha. That's the halacha.
So a new cheddar, like a soft rubbery cheddar, cheese strings. That's not considered a hard
It's
cheese.
most of cheese today. I got remember Yasha held that was, but Ruba de Ruba, all place can hold it's not considered hard cheese. And, the minhag is not to wait. You don't have to wait.
What would be a hard cheese by our standards today?
So the Austrians basically have Parmesan cheese, which possibly could be hard. You have to find out if it was aged.
And
or not.
cheddar.
I don't know
Old
those
cheddar,
things.
maybe.
Maybe old ones. The ones that have, you see the pictures of Swiss cheese with holes in it?
Those are the ones with the worms?
It's all the worms.
Really?
I actually saw a whole article on cheese.
Really?
It was a fascinating article.
Don't say that,
Do
please.
you ever eat green cheese?
No.
People will pay thousands of dollars for this piece of cheese.
Blue cheese.
I've
can't
seen
believe
blue
it.
cheese.
What?
That's great.
Blue as well.
Blue as
The
well.
French have blue cheese.
Yeah. I don't know how to
What is
eat
blue?
these things,
Blue
but
is-
they're the real cheese that's been wormed for a very long time.
Some restaurants.
Rabbi Scheiner, you gotta give him one cheese that he has to wait. He needs a chumrah. You gotta give Jeremy a chumrah.
I got it now, like,
That cheese that's been sitting at the back of your fridge for 6 months.
That's old cheese.
So
It's
I
also
just
green.
want
It's
to
also
come
green.
out.
wait. You should not eat
One
meat
more
for
point
3
here.
hours after.
Moshe has a
Never mind, you
tshuva,
missed
very
something you didn't want to hear,
interesting
believe me.
tshuva. Moshe has a tshuva, some vitamins, he had vitamins made out of liver. You have some ingredients in certain vitamins or that could be fleishiks. So you have to wait 6 hours after that. So he comes out that you don't have to wait for a few reasons. First of all, could be it's not considered food anymore once it's hard. If it's not chewable, it's just swallowing. Belia, just swallowing itself, it could be you don't have to wait 6 hours, we said. The Rambam says you have to chew. And even the Rashi, the taste stays in your mouth, could be both of these things don't apply by a hard vitamin. Both things don't apply, especially if it's not considered a real food. So he's makel on a vitamin that has fleishiks in it or something like that, that's not considered something which you would have to wait actually 6 hours. I don't know how come these things are. I got a medical field.
And things that are made dairy equipment you can have after.
Yeah, their equipment you can eat right away afterwards. That's what we
After
said. Yeah, you can eat right away afterwards. Many dairy equipment you can't eat together with the meat,
Right.
but you can eat afterwards. It's not a problem. It's not a top show. Right.